and welcome to On Record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. I am Olumide Shokoya. Happy New Month. On the program, we discuss the actions and inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview. The program also encapsulates personalities and institutions that make decisions that affect the lives of the people, one way or the other. And then we avail you, our listener, the opportunity of calling into the program and ask questions from our guest on the topic of the discussion. We're streaming live on YouTube and Twitter at High Impact 102.1 FM. Once again, welcome to On Record, where every word matters. In the first half of 2023, consumer loans taken by bank customers in Nigeria surged by an impressive 34%, reaching 2.64 trillion naira. Now, the substantial increase stems from households relying more on borrowing to navigate the surging cost of living. The persistent escalation in prices of goods and services has led to a concerning trend of rising inflation rates, which continued for 10 consecutive months, hitting 27.33% in October 2023. Moreover, food inflation reached a staggering 31.52%. The growth in consumer loans finds support in various strategic initiatives implemented by banks. These measures encompass digital innovation, simplified processes, improved product design, and increased customer engagement. Such efforts have significantly facilitated easier access to credit for consumers amidst the challenging economic landscape. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) illuminates a remarkable upsurge in consumer loans, marking a 34% year-on-year growth, a peak not witnessed in 4 years since the introduction of CBN measures in 2019 aimed at bolstering economic loans. Now, the quarter-on-quarter growth stands at 12.2%, underscoring the increasing significance of consumer loans in the financial domain. The loan-to-deposit ratio (LDR) policy has notably contributed to this growth, particularly by incentivizing lending to sectors like SMEs, retail, mortgage, and consumer lending. Now, the surge in demand for loans, as observed by industry analysts and banking professionals, is directly linked to the higher cost of living driven by persistent price hikes in goods and services, the continuous depreciation of the Naira. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics, that's NBS, indicates that over 65% of the inflation surge in October resulted from price hike in basic household necessities such as food, non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas, and auto fuel. Additionally, insecurity-induced food shortages and increased transport costs have compounded the inflationary measures. The depreciation of the Naira has been further aggravated by the reform measures introduced by the CBN in June 2023. Official market exchange rate soared from 840.53 naira per dollar from the 471.67 naira per dollar, reflecting a staggering 78% depreciation. Similarly, the parallel market exchange rate surged to about 1,155 naira per dollar from 768 naira per dollar, marking a 50% depreciation. Have you got questions for my guest? The phone line 0700 1021 1021 will be open shortly. And in the meantime, you can send WhatsApp message to 0907 224 5018. We'll take a breather here, and when we return, we'll begin the conversation. Stay tuned.
Do you know where we're going this Christmas?
Do you want to know what we are up to?
Our daddy is taking us to High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort to experience Christmas magic and more.
Yay! I love have magical experiences. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mommy says there will be ice cream and delicious meals.
Plus the Ferris wheel and other fun rides in the mini playground. Experience magic like never before this Christmas from the 22nd of December to the 2nd of January 2024 at Impact Planet.
Located at Kilometer 12, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, opposite Mountain Top University, Ibadan, Ogun State.
You better be there, or you miss out on all the fun we are going to be having. Tell your mommy and daddy that there will be a 10% discount when they book a minimum of 2 nights between October 9th and November 31st.
Wow. For more inquiries, visit www.highimpactplanet.com or call 0814-229-9590 or 0812-271-4373.
High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Fun just got real!
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
Welcome back to On Record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. I am Olumide Shokoya. Don't forget, you can call us on 0700 1021 1021 to join the conversation, or you can send WhatsApp message to 0907 224 5018. Our topic for today is consumer loans in Nigeria, the impact of inflation and Naira depreciation on household finances. And our guest is Bolahon Olojede. He is an economist. Good morning and welcome to On Record.
Yeah, good morning. Nice to be on the program.
Thank you very much for sparing time to join us.
You're welcome.
All right, let's start off. Our topic today is consumer loans in Nigeria. We'll be looking at the impact of inflation and Naira depreciation on household finances. Now, my first question is, given the substantial surge in consumer loans by 34% to about 2.64 trillion naira in the first half of 2023, now how do you assess the influence of this growth on the resilience of Nigerian households amidst this rising inflation rate? And are there any possible historical examples?
Sorry, I missed a part of that question.
Okay.
You're asking about maybe we've been at this junction before. Was that the question?
Okay, let me repeat it again. Given the substantial surge in consumer loans by 34% to 2.64 trillion naira, that's in the first half of 2023, how do you assess the influence of this growth on the resilience of Nigerian households amidst the rising inflation? And if possible, if you can state any historical examples that can mirror such scenarios.
Okay. The growth in consumer loan is accounted for by a number of factors, and it is not just about the fact that people just want to borrow or that more people are broke. What part of what has happened is that there has been a lot of players in the consumer loan space, and they have been able to more or less what I would call democratize that space. So some years ago, you cannot easily get a loan. If you go to a bank, the kind of things they will ask you for, an arm and a leg and the death certificate of your great-grandmother, all those things are no longer there. If you have a job and there's an evidence that you have cash flow today, there's an institution that is ready to give you a consumer loan. So that is also part of what is driving consumer loan growth in the economy. Then, of course, if things get harsh and people's disposable income is no longer enough for them to meet the obligations that it used to cover for them, then they are looking for an opportunity to fill that gap. So that also now creates an increased appetite for people to want to borrow to meet their obligations that are falling due. Yes, we've had instances in the past. We've had what we call austerity measures at some couple of decades, or about 30 decades ago. There has also been some other times in our history when things were like this. Inflation went through the roof. People are not able to afford. Yeah. In fact, I can still recollect a number of songs that were released in Nigeria around some of those seasons, chronicling all the harsh economy of those particular seasons. Well, this is another of such seasons, and I just hope that we'll be able to turn things around as fast as possible.
All right, thank you very much. Now, the banking sector's implementation of digital innovations and simplified processes has significantly contributed to the upsurge in consumer loans. Now, how sustainable are these initiatives in the long term, especially managing borrowing behaviors in the face of persistent inflationary pressures?
Well, there are teething problems, no doubt about that. But this is the way it is in most other parts of the world. And I believe that those other parts of the world also pass through what we're passing through now. So you have situation currently, in the past couple of years, where the attitude of some of the borrowers is like, as if this is my own share of the goodies. So they borrow and they don't pay. Not just that they don't pay, at some point they may become unreachable, so the lender cannot even reach them. So we've seen situations in which the fintech side of consumer loans have witnessed certain players who have adopted some very unethical and harsh approach to chasing after these debtors. Those are part of why I believe the central bank governor, in one of his recent speeches this week, is contemplating a revision of the regulatory environment around fintechs, because some of these practices are very weird. However, what we're going to see is that at the initial teething stage, there will be losses. There are losses. I know of a particular microfinance bank that made 30 billion in revenue and wrote off about 8 billion in that same year. So about 80% of the entire money that it made was written off to all these loans that were given out that nobody was paying back.
Wow.
So it shows that there are challenges, but the system will need to evolve to deal with those challenges so that we can get the full benefit of a consumer loan environment that is much better than what we used to be, or what it used to be.
All right, thank you very much. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced reform measures in June 2023, leading to a substantial depreciation of the Naira. Now, are there any global instances where such currency reforms have significantly affected consumer borrowing habits and economic growth?
Yes. The Naira, I'll call it devaluation. This is devaluation or rate unification, whatever you want to call it. The policy in itself is a right policy, is the way to go. However, there are challenges around whether the timing of the policy, or whether there are certain things that we needed to do before that policy were done. So people raise the issue of when you're going to do a policy like that, have you thought about the supply side of foreign exchange? So for a country that imports even toothpick, you're not offering much to the world. As a matter of fact, up until now, over 90% of Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings is still from crude oil. So it is safe to say that the only thing that Nigeria offers the world is crude oil. unfortunately for us as a country, that crude oil we've been unable to produce. So our production has crashed all the way from an all-time high of 2.5 million barrels a day to about 900 and something in 2022. It is coming up gradually now. So when you have a situation of a country that is not productive like that, there is a problem with supply of FX. So the question was whether the timing of that policy was right, whether we should have thought through and have a plan for supply issues before we take out, before we unify the foreign exchange rate. But like I said, we've done it. It is here with us. And the authorities are trying to find means to cure the issues that have emerged from that policy. If we commit to it, it will eventually happen. If we commit to it, a country will need to. The country will need. It's not just a monetary matter. Like a lot of people think, oh, it's just CBN. CBN on its own cannot significantly change the situation. We as a country, and on the fiscal side of things, we must produce. Now, the problem is that when you're saying people should produce, to be able to start becoming a production country, a lot of other things need to change within the system. Yes. So, in the short term, the shock and volatility will be there, but in the medium term, the currency will stabilize and actually appreciate, and it will be better for it. Hopefully, we will keep at doing the right thing, be committed to this thing, and have a disciplined execution approach from the monetary side of things and from the fiscal side of things. If we do that, in the medium term, we'll be out of the woods.
All right, thank you very much. Now, policy focusing on sectors like small and medium enterprises, retail mortgage, and consumer lending. How might the current surge in consumer loans impact the growth trajectory of these sectors? Now, and also, are there any potential risk associated with such?
It will help them a great deal, because those segments of the economy hitherto have not been eligible to obtain loans from the conventional loan sources like the banks. They don't give them because there are rules. The banks have their rules under the regulatory prescription as to, before you give this kind of loan, that person must have this or have that. And if it doesn't have it and you grant that kind of a loan, then you have breached a regulatory prescription. So this crop or this segment of the market have been unable to have access to loan facilities until the recent years with what has been coming up especially in the consumer loan space. However, there is still an issue with the cost at which some of these loans are coming. Of course, a number of them are taking the loans, irrespective of the cost. But we still have to be deliberate about driving down the costs. Government playing its own part by creating the right environment that will help to drive down those costs. Where there is need for certain intervention, actually intervene, so that the cost of funds to those businesses will not be as high as what we have right now. Of course, I admit that we are in an increasing interest rates regime right now, and things are very tough as far as cost of fund is concerned. But it will not always be like that, and we have to be deliberate to walk down the prevailing interest rates so that this segment of the market can benefit fully from the transformation that is going on and making facility available to them right now.
All right, thank you very much. Now, in light of the escalating consumer loans and inflation rates, how might these trends exacerbate income disparities among Nigerian households? And can you draw parallels with historical economic shifts in other nations to demonstrate, similar patterns?
Sorry, I missed a part of that question. Can you restate it?
In light of the escalating consumer loans and inflation rates, how might these trends exacerbate income disparities among Nigerian households? And can you draw parallels with historical economic shifts in other nations that demonstrate similar patterns?
Okay. The consumer loan and inflation, and then you said I should draw a parallel, or how can this aggravate or alleviate, as the case might be, the income disparity? Well, one thing that is established is that the small and medium scale enterprises are huge drivers of employment across several jurisdictions. Whether it is the United States you pick or you go to Europe, you see that these guys are the engine room of employment and economic activities. So what that means is that when they prosper, the economy prosper. When they prosper, employment increases. When employment increases, the number of people that are earning income will increase. So more people have access to disposable income and they can consume. When they consume, their consumption is a trigger for manufacturing. So the people who are producing what these consumers are consuming are encouraged to produce more. In fact, new producers. So there's a multiplier effect. There's a trigger effect from the success of that segment of the market when they succeed. So definitely, as far as issues of income disparity is concerned, the success of medium and small and medium scale enterprises, their success would definitely be positive for issues of income disparity in the nation, because it will bring into the fold increased economic activities, increased employment, and with that comes a reduction in poverty and a reduction in the inequality of income within a particular system.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead.
No. I thought you had landed, but you can continue.
Yeah. And we've seen how this has played out in other parts of the world, including some that are similar to us in countries like Indonesia. A lot of people will remember this, I've forgotten his name now, who popularized this lending to the poor in Indonesia, and was able to establish the fact that the poor are actually better borrowers than even the top part, because a lot of them were paying back their debts. And what that does is that they get economically empowered, and they are able to contribute to the economy, and that reduces the gap, the income disparity gap in a particular country.
All right, thank you very much. In case you're just tuning in, this is On Record, where every word matters. We're looking at consumer loans in Nigeria, the impact of inflation and Naira depreciation on household finances. We'll take a short breather now, and when we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. Please stay tuned.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call
0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931.
Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is
They take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45 minutes program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Welcome back to On Record, where every word matters. We're still looking at consumer loans in Nigeria and the impact of inflation and Naira depreciation on household finances. Our guest is Bolawon Olojede. Don't forget you can also call us on 0700 1021 1021 to join the conversation, and you can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. Now, sir, I want us to look at another aspect of consumer loans, which brought about some sort of rise in demand for loans. I'm talking about what people know as loan sharks. Are you with me, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Now, these loan sharks, when they came into existence, they had so many mouth-watering offers, and of course, followed up with so many atrocities. So I want to get your thoughts on their regulations, the contributions to consumer loans, and how they can actually be regulated.
Well, because these people are providing financial services, we need to bring them under the proper regulation with the CBN. The CBN must be deliberate about regulating this segment. You know, the way they came in, using the technology platform,
yes,
I guess caught the system by a surprise, and there wasn't any strong regulatory environment within which they operate. But considering the kind of volumes that these guys have been doing, and the fact that they are producing financial services, the CBN is showing interest. Like I mentioned sometimes earlier in this same interview, I remember that the current governor of CBN in this week had mentioned about regulatory environment for fintech. Some of these lenders that you're talking about are fintechs. The way they've been going around, you know, abusing their access to the borrower's data, you know, part of the information you give to them when you are borrowing from them, include certain things that allows them, they can get onto your phone and see who are the people that you normally call and everybody that's on your phone. So it has led to an invasion of privacy.
Yes.
So these people get access to all this information, and they start to send messages to all the contacts on your phone, telling them that you are owing and all of that and all of that. That invasion of privacy is absolutely unacceptable. And this is part of what the regulatory environment must come in to kill. Financial services cannot be operated as if we're in a jungle. And this approach is a jungle approach. This approach of invading my privacy and sending messages and all stuff to everybody. Some will go as much as Facebook. There have been instances of people who literally, you know, wanted to kill themselves by virtue of what these guys are doing.
Yes.
So we are due for regulation in that space. We are due for one.
All right. Now, you made mention of the technology that this fintech used and how they approach and how they were able to gain so many people under their umbrella. Now, how can this federal government and of course the central bank tap into this kind of technology fine-tune it and make it more accessible to the people? I mean, if it's possible that I can get a loan straight from my phone, I don't have to walk into any bank, I don't need no paperwork, how can the central bank themselves fine-tune this and make it, more accessible to the people?
Well, it will not actually be the duty of central bank to fine-tune this. It will be the duty of the private sector. And we've seen a bit of that starting to happen, in which some banks are acquiring fintechs. This is how it has happened in some other jurisdictions. India is a very good example. When the fintechs launched out and they were taking certain strategic markets aside the retail market, the traditional banks simply went there and started to acquire all this fintech. Now, if that happens, it will help a great deal, because don't forget that the banks are regulated. They are regulated. So it might help to bring those their fintech subsidiaries under regulation. However, we cannot be sure that it is all fintech that are willing to sell to traditional banks. And, I want to be on my own. I don't want to sell my business to anybody. So that is why there must still be a regulatory environment, of course, to be put together by CBN to ensure that while these guys have come to provide a very important service, they don't mess up with people's privacy as they have been doing. The banks are a bit constrained by regulation as to what they can do. But what they are doing right now is to extend their hand into that fintech space by simply acquiring the fintech. If they acquire them, it means that the liquidity of these fintechs will be better. They can do better. And by acquiring them, they've already acquired the technology that the fintechs are using, and the service can continue to be provided. But CBN will not directly get involved in, preaching a particular technology or, asking, but it will happen driven by the private sector, while CBN might just be a facilitator anyway, a facilitator to ensure that things will go smoothly.
Thank you very much. Now, considering the current economic landscape, what measures could be undertaken to encourage more sustainable borrowing behaviors among Nigerian households?
Okay, I think there is a place for awareness. That's with the borrowing populace. There's also a place for credit. Number one, we have a problem with identity in this country, and I'm glad we are moving forward on it with all this NIN, BVN, and all the rest of it. One of the problems that we have suffered from historically was the fact that a man could be Adu John Sule here, and he has another identity that shows him as Chibundu Abdullahi. So you're not so sure that this person is this person is this person. Even when people give you an address, you get to the address and you might find out that it's a graveyard. But I think some of those things are changing. Identity issues are being resolved via technology, the NIN, the BVN, like I said, and yes, so that is being solved as we speak. But beyond that, the culture, the borrowing culture, must change. One of the things that we have seen in the evolution of this fintech and their loans is a situation in which a lot of borrowers, because they are unable to meet the obligation, instead of having a discussion with the lender, oh, this is what has happened, or it may be in the first instance, the starting point should actually be, if you don't have a repayment source, don't borrow.
Yes.
Don't say because it is easy, these guys will give me the loan. You take the loan, you took the loan, knowing fully well you will not be able to meet the obligation under the loan. It is bad.
Yes.
The second part is that if you are defaulting, maybe something happened, you didn't plan for it, you lost your job or whatever happened, rather than become incommunicado, which is what the number of these borrowers will do, they just switch off their phone, they remove the SIM and throw it away and go get another SIM, and the lender cannot reach them. All those things on the side of on the part of bad borrowing attitude, awareness can help to drive it. And at the same time, issues around interest rates that are not killing will have to sustain that space, because some of the problem could also be that if the interest rates are too high, even someone who thought, oh, I will be able to meet the obligation, might start to fall short of the obligations at some point because of the weight of the interest rate that he has to carry. So awareness has a great space there. Then we must continue to expand on our credit check and credit record, so that people who have a record of being a bad borrower are restricted. Their access to facility are restricted. But if there are no record that shows that, oh, the money he borrowed before, he didn't pay, he borrowed at the other place, he didn't pay, then it will be a mess. It will be a mess.
Thank you very much. Now, are there policy interventions or financial literacy initiatives that could mitigate the potential risk associated with increased consumer borrowings?
Oh, hello, are you still there?
Yes, sir. You didn't get the last question?
Okay. I missed part of that question. You said the policies that could mitigate
policy interventions or financial literacy initiatives that can mitigate potential risk associated with increased consumer borrowing.
Yeah, the financial literacy thing. That's there are a lot of platforms that are trying to get involved with it. Government on its own part through the CBN, and I'm also aware that some banks are getting directly involved also in financial literacy. It will help a great deal, and it will also be, for now, nobody is compelling it, so it's not as if there's a law that says, oh, bank A or this institution, you must go and educate the citizens about finances. No, nothing is compelling. We are still at that level of moral suasion, where you're saying, look, it is in your best interest, Mr. Bank, to ensure that you educate your constituency, the borrower constituency, so that they understand how finances work. For those small and medium-sized businesses, for example, you train them on the kind of records to keep, how to separate your own personal money from the money of the business, and ensure that it's not as the money is coming in from the business, you're also spending it on the other side. So that when somebody has to see your books, there's something to show that makes sense that this person is running a business here. Those are all very important parts of financial literacy that will help. So as the CBN continues to drive its financial inclusion, in which it wants to bring many more citizens into the formal financial system, it must be putting forward these financial literacy issues as a critical part of the financial inclusion. As you are reaching out to them, bringing them into the net, you're also showing them the right way to go, the right things to do, and via moral suasion, it's not something that could be compelled, at least not at this stage.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now, in your perspective, how might the combination of inflation, Naira depreciation, and increased consumer borrowing impact Nigeria's economic stability in the medium to long term? And are there any lessons from past economic recoveries that could guide the country through this phase?
I think I heard some, I didn't hear some. But if we're going to sustain consumer lending or probably even grow it, of course there are the being able to use technology to create correct, accurate databases, the identity that issues that we are already resolving and all of that are critical part of what will help sustainability of that space. What other part of that question did you say?
Are there any lessons from past economic recoveries that could guide the country through this phase?
Yes, we've been through economic recoveries. I remember what year was this? In the days of the finance houses, everybody come inside. There was a season in this country when there were several finance houses, and with the death of one of them, everything collapsed. And with that collapse, there was a whole lot of misery in this economy. Incidentally, it happened at a time when the government itself was facing major economic challenges. The SAP era of the military, but we weathered it, and we came out as shining. The key to weathering this kind of season that we have today is commitment and disciplined execution of government policies. Disciplined execution, keeping the eyes on the ball. So if we say we're going to do this, let's do this. So the CBN governor has said, look, we're going to regulate the fintech space. We're going to find a regulatory environment that makes it comfortable for all participants. Let it go beyond the speech into the execution. The medium MSMEs are borrowing at a high rate. What can we do? Need to be able to borrow at a lesser rate. I mean, this is part of what the current president has preached from campaign up until now. So let's be able to take it out of the words and bring it into the space of action. So for me, disciplined execution of government policy is the way we're going to be able to assure that we can weather this storm and come out shining at the other end. The economy is very resilient. That is what we have found out. The Nigerian economy is resilient. For example, we've had situation of very high food inflation. But what we are going to see in the next few months is that a good number of those food items prices will start to come down a little bit, will moderate. Why? It's not about anything special that we have done, other than the fact that we come into harvest season. So things like tomatoes, like pepper, like all of those things are coming into the market, and they are coming in volumes.
Okay.
So because of that, the prices will moderate a little bit.
All right.
But we now need to be able to take it further. You were going to say something.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gbolan Olojeje. Thank you very much for taking us through this impactful topic, the impact of inflation and Naira depreciation on households. Thank you very much, and we hope to hear from you another time.
The pleasure is mine. Have a wonderful day.
You too. All right, this is where we round off the program on record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. Join us next week, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. as we treat you to some impactful discussion. Many thanks to our listeners and my producer, Temi Tokwe Arogundade. I am Olumide Shokoya. Good morning.